Write that down, Fumi Saito.
Yeah, so we got to go back and talk about how it all started. Yeah, and also I believe Debbie is very good. The living evidence, right? And like a proof that what you've gone through, the All Japan Women's Boot Camp practice, trip out in Ireland the whole week, and Japanese dojo system and practicing all these things. And 200, 300 nights a year, on the bus in town to town, going, hello. Is that Shannon?
No, it's Hunter.
Okay.
Sorry.
Very. Oh, he can jump in. Your mom
Yeah.
too.
You want to be on a podcast? No. Okay. It's all about wrestling.
Well, whoever wants to join in, it's totally fine.
Yeah, because on this screen you're being Debbie Malenko, but in there actually your mom too. So
Right. Well, and that's one of those things I was thinking about. That whole thing with the Japanese training at the dojo and how they do it, which is a lot different than what they do here in the States. Starting at a young age and rules and guidelines and what you're not allowed to do, like date or anything like that. It's so different than what it is here in the States. So there's so many people probably don't know about that.
Yeah. And actually you have experienced that. And you came in when you were 19, Betty?
Yes.
Yeah, 19. Oh, when she was 19. Well, the thing is, how it all started was that there was Madusa's era, 2-year run, with All Japan Women. And she was ready to leave and hit the big time back in America, which she did. She went to, signed with WCW and all. And Rossy wanted, have, full-time American wrestler, but this time more of a rookie, and she'll actually come in and live in Japan and go through this rookie practice and just do everything, with Japanese wrestlers, Then
which was brilliant.
Yeah, and then being put in a
such a good
situation
idea.
where nobody spoke a word of English. How's that?
They did know some English. Yeah, they knew
some
more
words.
English than
Yeah. Justin, are you with me on this? This.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Debbie already debuted in Florida before she came to Japan, because you went to Malenko Wrestling School, then debuted and had a ring name of Debbie Drake thing, and some experience, but not quite full time, right? Because it's independent.
No, not full time. I had maybe a handful of matches before I went to Japan, so I wasn't seasoned at all. I was still green, wet behind the ears, but yeah, but it was a good time to go to Japan because I was still in the learning process.
And also the photographer, our magazine, Weekly Pro Wrestling or Baseball Magazine shop, the Florida photographer Bill Otten photographed the Tampa Malenko Dojo practice, and there's one female in there, among Malenko students. Who is this girl? We went, who is this girl? I mean, it seemed young, right? And the training among guys, and it was the only girl in there, and asked her, she said she wanted to go to Japan. All right, let's bring her to Japan. To make a long story short, are you with me, Justin?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
he's a man of many words. Yes.
Yeah, well, but we have to remember this was decade before internet and decades before cell phone. From the ground phone to ground phone. I made the international phone call. And,
payphones.
With
the
long
cards.
And the long distance phone call was really expensive from Tokyo to America, and you have to dial a lot of numbers, like a certain number to get out of country, and the country code, then area code, and local number. Do I get through? Then it was your parents' house, your mom's house, and there's a time zone, and I called and I introduced him, myself, and well, they basically wanted to come. So, just like, do you really want to do this? And she said, yes. All right, we'll go into concrete plan. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
I
what it
remember when
was.
we were sitting down looking at the contract too, and we looked at, the contract and how much I get paid per week, and you're like, "Oops, sorry about that." It's like,
Yeah,
no
first,
big deal.
because
Yeah,
you weren't making several $1,000s a week starting or anything like that. It was like
yeah,
rookie money. And yeah, right. I did go to Tampa, Florida after that, and then had a meeting at the Sizzler in Dale
yeah.
Mabry. Oh, Dale Mabry Street. All right. And Sizzlers and late Mr. Malenko, Larry Malenko, the Boris Malenko, the great Malenko, and late Masami Soranaka stood with us. Yeah. Both senseis, both teachers were, yeah,
Yeah.
they passed. But it was symbolic,
Yeah.
Mr.
Well, and
Malenko. Yeah.
that's when they gave me the Malenko name to use when I went over there as well.
Yeah,
They
because
thought that would.
it's almost like a sumo tradition that to adopt some legend's name into your ring name. Yeah, and well, people start assuming that you're a little sister of Dean and Joe, Jody. Yeah,
Well, I kind
or
of felt like it.
yeah, and then
Yeah, it was
Mr.
great. Yeah.
Larry, Mr. Malenko's daughter, right? So, but it was good, because you came out of Malenko Wrestling School, and at the time, the only female, came out of school. And at the time, if you remember, UWF style was so big in Japan. UWF style, Justin,
Hmm. Yeah,
you
it was
know that.
booming.
Yeah, and then UWF style was much like MMA later on. That cut cut the bullshit from wrestling. We don't bounce off the ropes.
Right.
And we don't do silly high spots. And then we just straight wrestling. And because of that, a lot of the wrestling moves that was hidden in the dojo. If you remember, Debbie, that the cricket head scissors,
Hmm.
the arm lock, that double wrist lock, arm lock, or the Achilles tendon into heel lock, and these things were done at the dojo, but rarely seen in an actual match in front of the audience. But the UWF style and Malenko schooling, it brought the dojo moves into the spotlight, and you were taught that probably without even knowing it, because you may not use that
That
in
was just part
actual.
of the training. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we did.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not the move that would be using in front of the audience, because in front of the audience you might be doing a lot more like easy to understand moves,
Hmm. Right.
and yeah,
And that's what Rossy told me when I went over there. He's like, do your thing, do what you do, do
yeah,
those moves, the Malenko style. But I almost felt like it might have been a little boring for the crowd just because it was a lot of mat work. It wasn't the drop kicks and because the Japanese women
flashy things,
are
yeah,
so fast. They're running on the ropes. They're jumping off the top. Everything's just these powerful hits and everything. And here I am with a lot of mat work and arm bars and leg locks and things like
sure.
that. So I was a bit nervous about slowing things down too much and making it boring, but it wasn't. They loved it.
It was, yeah,
So,
well, because people register. And there's a girl who does like UWF style. There was the only female wrestler doing it at the time. It's like, that made you special from day one. Yeah,
right.
which was
But
good. Yeah.
Rossy had a really good brain for wrestling. He knew that would go over because he knew the people. He knew what was popular at the
Yeah,
time
well,
and what was
also
coming out. So,
create this more shoot oriented looking
mhm.
wrestler, throw him into this Manami Toyota situation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like, yeah, very, very good. So we signed the contract, flew over to Japan, and we met you at the Narita airport.
And
Yeah.
that was you. It was Rossy Hasegawa,
Yeah, Hasegawa. Yeah, Hasegawa.
my tag team
Justin.
partner. And
Yeah,
he had
that.
that set up ahead of time. He knew I was going to be tag teaming with her. And that's why he brought her to the airport.
Yeah, to meet.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, to meet me.
Not that you spoke Japanese, not that she spoke perfect English and anything like that. But at the time, there was another tag team, All Japan Pro Wrestling, if you remember. young Kenta Kobashi and young Johnny Ace being, young American and young Japanese being like a regular tag team. Are you with me, Justin?
Yeah, you had the young blonde American and the young Japanese rookie. They both had the coiffed hair, and they were the young studs of that time, or that was how they were positioned, right?
Yeah, so not like one-time deal, but they had a regular tag team thing going.
Yeah,
and they won the
for a
Asian
while.
tag teams. Yeah. So it was like the Rossy had idea. We'll have this new generation tag team. Sakie Hasegawa, Japanese rookie, and Debbie Malenko, American rookie. Wasn't rookie, well, kind of rookie, that put it together in regular
Right.
tag team situation. There are a lot of tag team at the time that Manami Tota and Toshio Yamada teaming, regularly. That Mita and Shimoda, right? Remember?
Right.
And and Takako Inoue and Kyoko Inoue, and at the time, Bo Nakano and Aja Kang split later on, but the Bo Nakano and Aja Kang still tag teaming together, and there's like sets of tag team that you can do things with.
Well, it was Aja and Bison Kimura
Bison
at the
was
time.
Jungle Jack, yes,
Jungle
right.
Jack was a thing.
Yeah,
and then it was Bull and Hokuto Akira.
a little bit.
They were teaming
But the
against them, so that was the two big rivalries.
Right. Then Hokuto, formed her own faction, that the Las Cachoras, a little bit later on. But the tag team was like single division's good, but when you have regular tag team, like this pair here, this pair there, tag team here, that is sets of programming that they can do a lot with. And you were thrown in with Japanese wrestler there right away. Yeah, that was good. Good start.
I think it helps when you start out being in a tag team like that, because then you get the rhythm, you get to work with people, and if you get in trouble, you get to tag out.
Yeah.
And you get help that way. So the single matches are a little more difficult.
How soon did you pick up the language?
Oh, I don't think I ever did completely.
Okay. Yeah. But how complicated All Japan women's tag team matches are, sometimes.
Yeah, they're
or
very
let alone
complex. So complex.
Six women tag team match, like 25 high spot going, all simultaneously, not simultaneous, but one after another, just.
Well, it's easy to find yourself spectating from the corner too, because you're just in awe of what you're seeing in front of you, and you're standing in the corner going, "Oh shit, I got to tag in," and there you go. Yeah, but it's amazing to just be part of that. But you can, especially in like the 6-man tag teams. The more people you get in there, the more there is to do. But it seems like it goes fast because everybody's trying to get their moves in, and you got so many people. You just kind of you tag in, and it's spot.
And each of those women have tons of things to do on her on her own. Yeah. And six women tag team is especially interesting because 2 here, 2 there, 2 there, like 3 different places and 3 things going at the time. Then kind of rotate,
Yeah, and then trying not to get in anybody's way because they've got something to do. So you're like trying to get around the corner, move out of the way. Yeah. It gets to be fun.
It was amazing that you must have picked up wrestling language before the regular Japanese language.
Yeah, I think the wrestling language was actually a mixture of Spanish, Japanese, and English. Depending on the move, you call it a different thing. So
you do? Okay.
Yeah, because Esther and Cynthia Moreno, they were there at the time too, and Esther was very fluent in Japanese.
In Japanese, yes.
So she's interpreting for me. So she's kind of the go-between. So you kind of learn. You're talking, to a crowd of people. You're all standing around, and you're all speaking 3 different languages, but everybody understands each other.
Yeah, so that's good.
It had to look really, really strange from the outside, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. I want our listeners out there to know more about what you've done in Japan. And then you came to Japan. They put you in an apartment there, but a couple months later you came. That was the same apartment Madusa was living first. Then they
and that was
occupied. Somebody came.
Away.
Yeah, like a block away or 2 blocks away. But then they moved you to the third floor of the office. That's a famous All Japan Women's building. First floor, right hand side is a big garage with two buses going, parked. And left hand side was like a ground floor dojo. And there's a stair in the middle. They go second floor. Right hand side is All Japan Women's office. And left hand side is a Sanzoku restaurant. And third floor on, there's like a dormitory.
Right.
And up in the roof, midgets are living. Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the rooftop, it was the midgets lived up there, and that's where you did laundry. So you had the washing machines and where you hung out your clothes to dry. So yeah. Spent a lot of time up there and in the restaurant.
Yeah, Sanzoku restaurant that the wrestling office owned restaurant. And a lot of the girls washed dishes and did, worked back in the kitchen too, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of the girls did work there, and I wasn't sure why. I think it was to supplement, what they were making as wrestlers, because it was always the young girls.
Yeah,
so,
rookie
which
who
made
just
sense.
do all the odd job too,
Right.
Because you sweep the dojo, then clean up the dojo, or do other things, and there was like a 300 nights a year schedule. They stopped doing that, years after that. But while you were there, they were still running night after night after night after night. That non-TV, non-televised house shows, on
house shows, small towns. Yeah.
Yeah, and then weeknights. Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And were you counting like weekends and how many days you're gonna be gone from the your apartment, dormitory, and how many bags you brought? And
just trying to figure out how much to pack and take with you. But when you're living on the bus, you got storage, and
Right. Let's tell our listeners the bus. It's a big bus, and actually you have your fixed spot, right?
Yeah, everybody's. I don't know if it's assigned seating, but everybody sits in the same places because you got your
carton.
stuff. You make your little home.
Yeah,
you got
little
curtains
speaker,
for privacy when you want to take a nap.
Little speaker with your Walkman and cassette tape and CDs, of course. At the time. Yeah. And the clothes, like regular clothes, wrestling related clothes, and your tennis shoes, sneakers, and wrestling gear here, there, and your comfortable spot.
Little drying racks for your laundry. So if it wasn't completely dry, because you wash it in the sink. So when you get to your hotel, you take your laundry, you wash it in the sink, you hang it out to dry. If it's not dry, you hang it up in the bus. So it's hanging down the aisle.
And you didn't have all that many wrestling gears,
No.
2 or 3 altogether. So you kept washing it, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. And the first black pair ring boots was given by Jody Simon. Jody's.
No,
it was Masami's.
Masami gave,
Masami Soranaka.
So those were his boots.
Yeah. For the listeners out there, Masami Soranaka is son-in-law of God, Karl Gotch.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the early coaches of yours, right?
Yeah, and actually the picture I think that got me to Japan was the group picture that we took. It was Carl,
Masami was
people.
there,
yeah,
and Beef, the Wellington Wilkins Jr., Jumbo Beretta was there.
Norman Smiley
was there, and Toei Ishikawa, of course, was there. And
he was there.
That's a UWF and this, God of Wrestling, the Malenko, the Karl Gotch. This was like a great picture, and you were
there's this girl right in the middle.
Yeah, like who is this girl?
Row.
I mean, everybody else was somebody, like a Norman Smiley, the what's a karate guy?
Willie Wilson.
Bart Vale.
Oh yeah, he was in there. Yeah, Bart Vale. Yeah, Willie Wilkins was in there, of course. Jumbo Beretta was in there, and Masami. Yeah, this is a group practice photo, and the unknown girl right in the front, sitting like in your gym class,
Yeah.
So, and also after all, this girl was the only female wrestler trained by Karl Gotch because he never taught girls,
No, he spent a lot of time. Toy and I spent a lot of time together because Toy was helping training me at the time to, learn some of the Japanese styles. So it was fun to have those two in the ring. They're trying to teach me all kinds of fun stuff, which I don't have a high vertical. So the Frankenstein not a move
this
I
is it.
do.
Yeah,
There we go.
going right in the front.
You found
Oh
it.
my
Yeah,
God.
there we go.
Yeah, that was it. Oh my God, because it's like all the serious wrestling fan knew everybody there, who they were, and who is this girl in front?
Maybe can you follow my cursor? There's you, right there. I don't know if you can see that, but you got young Deb Malenko with Black Magic, Norman Smiley. I think that's Bart Vale.
Bart Vale, Masami Soranaka, Jumbo Beretta,
Jumbo Beretta,
and Mr. Karl Gotch, of course, and young Toy Ishikawa, and Willie Willikins Jr.
or Beef
and
Wellington.
They all went to UWF, and that the Ishikawa. By the time Toy came home, the big split between UWF, and he joined Fujiwara Gumi instead of because UWF was gone then, and then Masami told him to basically join Fujiwara. Then the Fujiwara Gumi became Battle Arts, So,
right?
Yeah. God, this is like what, the 1991 photo, probably.
Probably 90, 91.
90, 91, like some 30, 34 years ago. Oh my gosh. But the thing is, I put this page together in Weekly Pro Wrestling, And
that's back when you worked for him. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I every week, week in, week out, year after year after year, all the American stuff. I did it every week, and this was a fun page that I remember. And actually,
we always lined up when the magazine came out.
Yeah.
You always knew where to find the girls because we're all at the magazine stand waiting for that to come out, so we could see who's in it.
Because girls, all wrestlers look for. Where you were in it in the magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
Every week.
What page am I on? Am I in it this time? What they say about
because we have to remember this was decades before the internet. And what's
no
on the
Facebook,
internet,
no Twitter, and none of that. It was all magazine.
Yeah, no social media. But what was great was that this wrestler came out of that picture.
That's right.
That girl trained by Karl Gotch actually came to Japan, not just tour or two, but she actually came to Japan and lived. That was like, wow, that was a big thing. Yeah.
That's the best way to learn, though, just the immersion in it. Just go and be part of it. That was a lot of fun. It was hard, but anything worthwhile is. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and it was like such an adventure. You were 19 then.
Yeah.
And other 19-year-old were there in All Japan Women, and so it was good though that it's not the part of men's wrestling group and have one women's match in there, but the entire company, 45 wrestlers, all women,
right,
and travel together and run 250, 300 shows a year, and sometimes you set up the chairs or concessions and
or the ring and
tear the ring
merchandise
out,
tables,
merchandise table, of course, and during the summer, it's not even a gymnasium or the city town
parking
hall.
lot.
It's parking lot show.
Shows.
Yeah, parking lot shows. Yeah, because it's also symbolized the time like there were promoters running shows at some big parking lot. Yeah, in a town you've never heard of.
Hoping it doesn't rain. Yeah,
that's one.
And even if it did rain, we still put on a show. Just had to be a little careful.
And then put the seat around it so people can't see it. To pay to get in, right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but it wasn't all that expensive either. Probably $20-$30. To get in, because today's wrestling is spend anywhere from $50 to $200-$300.
Yeah, it's crazy what people pay to get into a.
Yeah, today.
I can't afford to go to a WWE show. It's too expensive.
Yeah. And also merchandise. Yeah.
Deb,
yeah, exactly.
The crazy thing about the travel is that back then you were going to place at 250 a day
Shows a year.
Fans got to realize that not every city is like Tokyo in Japan. I mean, you've probably
Right.
seen more of Deb Malenko's probably
Countries.
seen more of the country of Japan than a lot of Japanese people
Yeah,
because
well, I
It's
think so, more than
possible,
I
yeah.
have. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, do you have any stories or memories of really small, unique towns that you got to visit in
Or
Japan?
not even the hotel, but the small Japanese ryokans.
Japanese
Those are
inn.
the coolest. Yes. Yeah, because they're, you can almost smell the age of a building when you go in
Ah.
it. Like if you go into a new hotel, you can smell that it's new.
New
But
hotel,
these,
yeah.
yeah, the older ones just have that almost antique smell to them, and
Yeah.
just the architecture and everything was just amazing to see. And then the meals too.
Oh yeah,
The
because it was
traditional.
all you had this, chawan and the rice and the chopsticks, and
Mhm.
every day you just ate with Japanese, right?
Yeah. What are the smelly beans?
Oh, the
I don't.
nattos, the
Yeah,
fermented beans,
Natto,
nattos,
yeah.
of course. Yeah,
worst
natto.
smell in the world, but actually they're quite delicious. But they're if
Extremely
you
You
can
have
get
to get
healthy.
past the
used to it.
smell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what to go? It's the English-speaking Western fans, need to be that need to be
Natto,
introduced.
huh?
Natto, the fermented beans.
Fermented soybeans.
There you
Fermented
go.
soybeans.
And the rice, and you have nori that
Like
the
seaweed,
seaweed.
dry seaweed
dried
to go with
shredded.
I
it.
I still buy that at Costco.
Oh, you
So
do?
yeah,
Okay.
we're big fans of seaweed. So
Okay. And not just the white fish, but like the fish cooked like you still look like fish.
yeah, it's the whole fish,
Yeah,
just
the little
grilled.
little thing.
So you got the skin, you got the head, you got everything but the guts, and
Oh,
yeah, just
yeah.
grilled. And it's actually
Yeah.
good. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. And raw egg on top of steamed rice.
which is good. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. You
And
can't get me on food, Fumi. I love
uh,
food.
okay. Well, you try to cook korokke korokke is like like a deep fried mashed potato thing with breaded crumb around it.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
korokke. Yeah, that.
Yeah, I've
And
tried to make that at home, but I'm not that good. So
you
next time
have
I
to
come to
put that
Japan,
in
I've got to get it.
freezer for a while before you deep fry it. Yeah, 'cause
Oh, is that the
it's gonna
trick?
crumble
Okay.
it. Yeah, because it's gonna crumble it because it's a mashed potato. How can you deep fry mashed potato without crumbling it? So
Right.
you gotta put it in the freezer for a while. Then you have so much that you see. Of course, wrestling, but you went to those ryokans, and did they have like a huge bath, like hot tub bath, like 20 people can get in?
We went to one that was, and I couldn't tell you where it was.
Of
Half the
course.
time I didn't know where I was or what town I was in. But yeah, we went to one that was really huge, big size, where it was an outdoor
Okay,
heated
like hot spring.
hot spring. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So you've seen it. It's kind of like being on a school trip all year long. you know?
right. And
Yeah,
that's something that I got paid to go there and do that and experience all of that. So I didn't
yeah,
have to pay to do it. I got
yeah.
paid to be there and experience,
Oh, God,
all of
only when you can
Japan.
you
It
can
was
you can do
amazing.
what 1920, and
It's like your
Right.
PhD.
actually, yeah. What was interesting was that you started out in this like a second match, third match situation, and you really climb up the ladder, to be in this, first match, second match, third match situation to a tag
Hmm.
team situation, and you won the All Japan singles title too while you were there. All
Right.
Japan singles title and All Japan tag team title with Saki Hasegawa. Then
Right.
even challenged Akira Hokuto's white belt, the All Pacific belt at the end, and
Yeah.
you didn't get to the red belt all the way yet, but you
I
did
did,
have, you know
didn't
what I'm
have enough
saying?
time to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a really real that they make you climb up go up the card, you know,
Right. Well,
and
it's
if you
realistic that way because you can see when I went in and had my first few matches just how good I was. And, the Japanese fans are smart. They know if you can wrestle or not. They know if you're getting the moves or not. So to bring me in as a young person and put me in, the first, second match of the night and see me build up that way and evolve, that's the smart way to do it.
And
Because
then
I
you
improve.
were there and they're there every night. I'm talking about Matsunaga family, Big Brother.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And one of them used to call manager, Jimmy
Mm-hmm.
Kayama, Kunimatsu.
Right,
They the one they give you, to go home. But they
right,
sometimes want to see who fights harder.
right.
You know what I'm
And they're
saying?
looking for heart.
Yeah.
They want to see who has heart, who's gonna, just keep getting up and going after it and working hard. And we actually had a tag team match. It was myself, Hasagawa, and I can't remember who we were working against, but it was a match where we didn't know who was going to go over.
Because they had 2 sets of finish.
Everyone had to finish. You
yeah.
didn't know which team was going over, but you didn't know which person was going over. So
And
everyone
the
had to
Jimmy
finish.
had the cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting in the desk, in the ringside desk, and he has a
Yep.
cigarette on his hand. If you do this, certain wrestlers going over.
Yes.
If he goes,
Everyone's got, just like baseball. He's
yeah,
going
like
to give
this.
you the sign. You got to look for it, and they'll let you know when. And you just keep going until
In the
they
middle
tell
of the
you to
match,
go
you keep
home,
looking at the table. Who's
and
going
try not to
over?
be obvious, right?
Yeah, but then you saw the sign saying like, we're going like this. It's
Right.
like, all right, I'm going over.
You're like, woo!
Yeah, so it
'Cause
was
you
like
didn't
a
know how long
serious.
ago
Yeah,
either. Yeah, because some
you went
matches
in
were
there.
20-minute match, 30-minute match. This was you just go until we tell you, and then we'll let you know who's going over. No pressure there, right?
Yeah,
So
but you do your best. You can't,
yeah,
just
but when
have to do
you're
your
in a
best.
match, you want to keep the momentum going,
Sure.
right? You don't want the fans to get bored. You want to keep some heat going. You want, a false finish here and there. You want an exciting match. But how do you do that when you don't know
Who's
when
going
you're going
over?
to be done? Because
Yeah.
it throws your timing off. So you gotta do this roller coaster of a match where, okay, take a powder, rest, let's hit it hard again. Oh, not time yet. Okay, let's take a powder. Oh, hit it hard again. Is it time? Nope, he hasn't given us the sign, so keep going. So you have
Becomes a
to
false
keep
finish
coming
number
up
2,
with
false
stuff.
finish number 3, false finish
Right.
number
You're like,
4.
okay, I did that already. Now what am I going to do? Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
Justin, can you imagine Debbie doing this without fully speaking that language?
I mean, that's as real as it gets, right? I mean, you just
But that's wrestling. We
right?
talk about this
Yeah.
all the time, that wrestling does not have language barrier. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I'm
yeah.
curious about, you were touring all over Japan. I'm wondering in this environment or style that you were in, did the towns dictate or change that momentum you were talking about? Like, is if you were doing a show in Tokyo, I feel it's going to be a lot different than the parking lot show in, up at north and somewhere
Mm-hmm.
Hokkaido or something. So, do you remember any, or do you have any like impressions from that, from different towns dictating how hard you work or what you did?
I think, if you're not in a big TV match or a video match, you don't want to do too much dangerous stuff.
Mm,
You want to make it mean something. So you will kind of reserve yourself a little bit if you're in a parking lot in a small town,
sure.
but you still want to put on a good show. In saying that, it depends on who's in the crowd,
Hmm.
because sometimes the manager would say, hey, somebody important's there. So you definitely want to put on a good show. So you might do a little more than what you would do, in a,
Sure.
not so important match.
A
But,
little extra
you
spice.
know, yeah, or they say, oh, so and so's here and he wants to see, you know, how this person's coming along. So they're out there, they come to this certain town just kind of checking in to see, okay, who's actually serious and doing a good show in the parking lot. So you can't slack. You can't just,
Sure.
oh, it's going to be a night off, I'm going to take it easy,
No,
because
no, you don't
you're
do
still
less.
proving
Right.
yourself. Right. So I think that's one of the things where, you know, in some of the small towns like here in the States, you got these little companies that kind of go all out a lot just to prove themselves, to build up their name. And when you're with a big company like that, you have a name and you have to represent it. So you have to be careful that you put on a good show, you go out there, you give it your all, but don't be stupid. You know, don't take chances on ruining your career or hurting somebody. You know, if you're going to do something big or you're working on a new move, test it out in the little towns so you can debut it at your TV match in Corrigan. You know, so you use that as your training. You use it to test things out and see how it goes. And then, you know, you're pulling all the stops when you go to the big matches.
Sure.
So it was good to be out in the small towns. It's good to be out night after night after night, because then you can practice those moves over and over and over again before you have the big show. And you're doing it in front of a crowd, so you've got the adrenaline going, and it really made for a unique situation that way, where I don't think, you know, here, if you're not working for a big company and you're only doing maybe a, you know, 2-3 shows a month, working weekends,
If that.
you don't get the same experience, you don't get the same practice, and you're not working with the same people. So there's a big benefit to working with a company like that and working often.
Right, that repetition.
Yeah, exactly.
Consistency.
And
you pretty soon that all these 35, 40 wrestlers, I know what they do. You know?
Yeah. And when
yeah.
you're in the ring, you know people's moves and you know how to take their move and you know how to protect them and protect yourself. So it's actually a good benefit to work in that situation.
Justin, that was the era where from top to bottom, you had Bo Nakano, you had Akira Hokuto, you had Manami Toyota, the you know, Suzuka Minami, the Mita Shimoda, Kyoko Inoue, the Takako Inoue, you know, all these, you know, Yumiko Hotta, Toshio Yamada, every single stars of 90s were there. And they do a lot of unique stuff, and they were equally talented. And it was like a very interesting time that all these wrestlers, I mean, after you left, Deb, every one of those wrestlers got an even bigger star, you know. It was unfortunate that during the tag team match, your tag team partner was Manami Toyota that night when you broke your ankle.
No, I was teaming with Hasegawa. It was against Toyota and
Toshio Yamada or Mita?
Yes.
Maybe Yamada.
Yamada.
Yeah. Their regular tag team situation.
Yeah.
And it was Channel 8 Fuji Television televised match. You know, the footage exists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you've seen it.
Was that a semi-main or was that main that night?
Probably like a semi-main event, but it was
a
televised match, like a network TV show. So it was really big thing. And unfortunate that you broke your ankle in two places, like a very complicated injury.
Yeah.
And
that's one of the things I don't understand. A lot of wrestlers wrestle in tennis shoes. Or
like a wrestling amateur wrestling
nowadays in the States, people are wearing tennis shoes or
sneakers,
kick pads, sneakers.
Or the tiger wrestling shoes with kicking pad.
Right. And after going through an injury like that, I look at them and I think, you're stupid. Put on some wrestling boots. You have so much more support. And I think it may, I don't know if it's a generational thing or the mom in me, but I'm like, get some boots.
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
wear just tennis
I
shoes. You're
think
gonna
younger
I
get
think
messed
a
up.
wrestlers think it's the
lot to
look.
do is MMA influence too,
But it's also the
Yeah.
look of it, because you see a lot of these wrestlers with the look, like they want the, like you said, the MMA look, or they're wearing sneakers, but they're doing if they want to do the high flying stuff, it doesn't really matter what it looks like in terms of like your safety. I mean, wear some, we sound like old fuddy duddies, right? But
Yeah, we
wear
do.
something that's support your knees, so support your ankles, especially if you're jumping around. I mean, like Deb, when you were working, what you guys were doing was really, it was the first of its kind in Japan. Even before the guys were doing as much lucha style, high flying style, all Japan women were doing a lot of that stuff. Really,
Right.
really high octane stuff. And now, I mean, geez, it's like
That's all there is.
every match from the beginning to the end. It's not even, that's that's a different discussion, but it's like,
It's gotten away from wrestling, and it's more the acrobatic
sure,
show. A lot more,
there's
high flying.
so much pressure on having that moment that you can share on social media. It's not as much about like a television match, or even like live shows. We were just talking about the live shows, right? To go off a little bit, but a live show today, 2024, you could live stream it from your phone and the whole world can see it. So I feel like they're kind of lucky to have that special, like, you're in front of a crowd, but it's not completely exposed yet, so you can still work it and work your craft and improve, but not under this new kind of pressure, right? That I'm sure, like, it's just part of the
Nowadays
game now.
you've got one take. Everybody's going to see it, and you can't repeat it the next show. Where back,
Or even
when I
practice.
was
And
in
also
Japan, you could.
you consume so much that it'll go away just as quick too.
Right. Everything's a highlight reel.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and the Japanese wrestling, women's wrestling was had its own unique evolution. Like I said, the women's wrestling in Japan was never part of men's wrestling group. Always had the women only wrestling. You know what I'm saying? They then had the like Mexican, the Mildred Bart came in, had American influence. The Fabulous Muda had American influence, then Lucha influence, and the brothers, Matsunaga brothers, they all had boxing and judo background. You know what I'm saying? So it became All Japan women's wrestling had its own unique style, like original style, and not mingling with men's style. If you remember, working right side and left side. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
Very
its own
original.
flavor. It really did.
It took you a little while, right? Because
it took a while, because you were like, oh, I'm using the other arm. Yeah, I'm arm dragging on this side, not that side.
Yeah.
And then when you come back to the States, you're like, oh, I messed that up because I'm on the other side again.
Yeah, but Japanese do have left hand side moves too. It's kind of mixed. Yeah. So you just have to know what you're doing and who your opponent is. What they do. Yeah.
Right.
And as you are moving up to the top cluster, that's when the inter-promotion thing started happening. All Japan Women, JWP, LLPW, and FMW Women's Division. And your tag team with Saki Hasegawa was sent to FMW Women's Division. That was interesting time, because you're working against women that you didn't know, that well.
Right.
And also they had this mission of proving themselves. These girls, are from All Japan Women's, like almost elite. And they had this, Atsushi Onita taught them very original, independent mind. And it's your chance to prove something to the world. Right. Everybody will talk about it tomorrow.
And he was the hardcore wrestler.
Yeah,
the barbed wire death match. So I think he trained his wrestlers different as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even the women were learning the hardcore style and not
Yeah.
so much
And
the
also, All Japan women had large, big enough roster that if you remember, some of the All Japan women's wrestler worked against JWP group,
Mhm.
and like Aja went up against Diamond, Dynamite Kansai, and
right.
Hokuto and Mita Shimoda were working against LLPW in Kandori and them, and you are
Right.
sent to FMW women's division, and they were like the first few times weren't communicating well. I don't think.
No, there wasn't. I think there was a boundary there where it's like they got to prove themselves instead of us working together. It was, I can prove that I'm just as good. And for me, not knowing the language that well, the communication with someone I didn't know was probably not as good as the communication with the girls I worked with all the time. So it was a tough couple matches because we had two separate matches with those guys.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as smooth as
Right.
what we'd hoped for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Tsuchiya and Maidomari, if you remember.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Shark
luckily
Tsuchiya and Shark Tsuchiya and the Crusher Maidomari. Yeah. If you
yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
The green costume girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them had a bad shoulder, so that gave me something to work on. So instantly I'm a heel.
In their buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, in their
Yeah.
building. Big heel. Yeah.
That was
Which
interesting.
that's all right. I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because if you didn't, didn't get injured, that you would, stayed longer and experienced all the inter-promotion big shows all the way to Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
missed the Tokyo Dome,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
I did.
Tsuchiya and Maidomari. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's a big house.
Hey.
Oh, Debbie and yeah.
It's
Yeah, that's
like you knew we
Maidomari
were
and
going to talk about this. Yeah.
Oh wow! And I remember this costume real well. Yeah, and then it was like
I still
going
have
like a
it.
Steiner. You still have it at home.
I
That's
do.
good.
Yes.
Can you still wear it? That's good.
Hey, well, let's not talk about that. Things shrink over the years.
Clothesline right away. Yes.
Fumi, is that you on the commentary?
Well, I did so much I don't
I
remember.
think that's you.
Oh God. Well, if I wasn't commentating, sometimes I sat right in front, up by the desk, because I wanted to watch it so close.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Can't believe it was like is it like a 92?
I believe it's 92, right? That 90 November
think so.
26, 1992.
92.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's like 32 years ago. Oh God.
There she is.
Stop
There
doing
she
the math,
goes.
Fumi.
All
There's
right.
the arm. Oh.
There it is.
All right.
Fujiwara
Wakigatame, the Fujiwara armbar. All right. Break it up.
Oh,
To the rope.
boo.
And actually, Debbie was one of the few girls who were wearing black wrestling boots. Everybody's white, right? The wrestling
Right.
boots.
Yeah.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah, the black wrestling boots and looking good that was a good thing. There's the wrestling boots, black wrestling boots, Young Lion, Antonio Inoki, all these things. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Sticking with the gimmick or the style.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Malenko aesthetic.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
Soranaka's boots
Mhm.
and Jody Malenko, Dean Malenko all wore that, like a plain
Exactly.
black wrestling boots.
And actually, the boots I'm wearing in there, we went to the same person that made Dean's boots and said, I want them like
Kondo
Dean's.
shoes, Kondo
Yes.
shoes, Kondo shoes. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, there you go. So careful. Right hand headlock. Put it in the corner and then get kicked in the gut.
I had abs then. I don't have those anymore.
Abs? Okay. Oh, let's
Yeah.
see how you get out of this. Boston crab is a big thing in Japan. Oh, hurts. God, you look so young there.
I know. What happened?
So, Deb, in 1992, Japan was also very different from how it is now. This is probably big primetime bubble period era. You got to experience a special time in Japan. Could you feel it when you
Yeah,
were
I
at these
guess.
shows?
Well,
What do you mean by
actually like a
bubble?
bubble economy. I
They
was there, but I didn't feel it.
well, you were
I
there.
was told, yeah, but we were told that was a bubble economy, and the economy was so good after it was gone. And I didn't think it was all that special, you know.
Well, I first went about 20 years ago, and it wasn't the bubble period, but it was still, the yen was, geez, it was like it was $1.10 for 100
Right,
yen
for
or
a dollar.
something. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Deb, you're
Which
taking heat.
it's not that good now, is it? Yeah.
Oh, because the U.S. dollar is so strong
yeah.
now. Yeah, you're taking heat. Oh, you're in pain.
Shark was mean.
Yeah, sharks shows mean.
Well, she has that one
To
good
the
arm, so
to the rope, to the rope. Yeah.
to the ropes.
All right, exciting. Yeah.
Try to get that Fujiwara. Yeah.
Yeah, on the mat, on the mat.
Yeah.
We'll come
Stay
back
on
to
her.
that.
Stay on her. Yeah.
You got to exploit the weaknesses.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and watch that.
Yeah.
All those women's, all Japan women's tapes are all in VHS tapes
Mhm.
for me. You know, and yeah, somebody's gonna digitize it. And I mean, it's official or not. Put that put them on YouTube. Well, people need to share it.
Well,
Well,
you
the
can
company
probably
went out of business. Yeah,
put
but the
them
company
in
went
a
out of
digital.
business, and that the rights for these footage went all kinds of different directions. Yeah, for the money the Matsunaga brothers own too. So
Hmm.
those video rights went to all different directions.
So it's
Nobody
not all in
wants it.
one. The one
No,
owns
no,
owns
no.
it. Because
Right.
if they did, they could
You
totally put
can
up
do the whole
libraries.
series. Oh
Right.
God, yeah.
It's the same with like
So
a UWF or UWFI. There's so many different.
different directions, yeah.
Yes, this
The
person owns
only
this section of the library, and then this person
or
owns
the
two
year so and
years.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What
It's a
year was
mess.
owned by somebody and somebody's basement. Everybody in somebody's basement is all the entire series in
Yeah,
it.
I bet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
probably in yours, right, Fumi?
No, 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 no. But I do have pretty much all Japan women's VHS from 90s. But it's in VHS. Like you can't watch it. you
Oh,
know.
you got to get you got to rent the old VCR or Betamax.
VCR, yeah. Yeah, but they stopped manufacturing it,
You
the one
don't have
they
one back there on the shelf with
uh
all those books somewhere?
oh no VHR, no VCR. I have VH tapes though, but I'm gonna go buy secondhand VCR soon, because you got to be able to watch it or at least digitize it on your computer, you know. Yeah. Anyhow, so it's like so much to talk about that. Now that I just watched your match from 32 years ago.
I know
God,
it makes me want to jump back in the ring.
oh yeah,
Ah,
that was a good
Those
time,
were the
wasn't
fun
it?
days.
Yeah, yeah. So it was that not too many people did that, and then you actually came all the way from Tampa, Florida, flew into Japan and spend in 2.5 years there. And actually, you had toured to Mexico, and you didn't even go back to States, and came right back from Mexico to Japan.
Right, right.
Remember
Hasegawa
that?
and I went there. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because
and
you're
that was
almost
fun.
there. You didn't even go home. They
Yeah,
sent you back to Japan from Mexico. Yeah, that
it
was
was okay.
something.
I was what, 19, 20 years old?
Yeah,
Send me
yeah.
to another country. That's fine. Let's go. Let's go see the world.
Oh God. I didn't realize how this is like such adventure thing while you were doing it. Now think back. It's like what an experience, what an adventure you had. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
something I'm glad I did it because had I not,
yeah,
it's when you're given that choice of, hey, you want to go to a different country and not speak the language and don't know anybody. Oh yeah, sure, sign me up. It's
Yeah,
as a
very
mom now
adventuresome.
looking back at it, if one of my kids got that opportunity, I'd probably be like, oh, okay, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
But then again, you don't want to pass up on opportunities like that because it can be a great thing. And it was. I made a lot of good friends, have a lot of good memories. It was definitely worth doing. So
Yeah,
you got to
that's
take a
good.
chance sometimes and just go out
Yeah,
and yeah.
yeah,
Deb, do you think the
yeah. That was
training back then?
you're one of the few people who done that. So
Deb, do you think the training back then is too hard for today? Do you think like a training program like you girls went through back then would be too intense for today's wrestling, or would it? How would it be different? Or I don't know. Are there things that you learned that you think would apply to today's wrestling that would be beneficial?
I don't know how they train nowadays. I haven't been to any of the other schools to be able to say they do things different
Sure.
or what they do and what they don't do. Sticking with fundamentals, arm bars, headlocks, and just chaining, what they call chain wrestling.
Mhm.
If you can get that down to where you can get in with anybody and just be able to do that smoothly, I think is a great place to start and should always be something that you're fluent in. It's like the basics. Everything else, it's like adding your own spice to a meal, whether you do flips or moonsaults or things like that, you got to get the basics down. So I think that's the biggest thing, and conditioning is huge. If you can't breathe, you can't wrestle. So if you got to be in good shape, plus it looks better if you're in shape. You're an athlete. You're in a
of
sport.
course.
So you got to represent, and look the part. So I think conditioning and training and fundamentals are the biggest part of anything that you do. So,
Yeah, I think
but
that the
there again, I
WWE
don't know.
Performance Center does it real serious now. I've seen the
Well, I would
video
hope so.
footage. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Norman's one
No,
of
their
the trainers
practice,
up there. Yeah,
their
Norman
practice is like
Smiley. So I'm
very,
sure.
very serious. Yeah,
Yeah,
conditioning and wrestling
yeah,
performance, of
I've
course.
never been there. They've
Mhm. Yeah,
not worked for them,
yeah,
so I don't know. But you can see them on TV. They're all in good shape.
yeah.
And yeah. So I'm assuming they're doing all the right things. The one thing I wish I would have learned earlier was ring presence. Like I couldn't do an interview to save my life. Didn't know how to represent my
Yeah. But
character or my
practice part, you can't teach them.
yeah. But
You know?
they do, they actually, some of the people that are having seminars now, they're teaching you how to do all of that, like the marketing part of it. That's what I didn't know when I started. So I knew the fundamentals, I knew the sport, I knew the wrestling. I took it serious as a sport and not as a,
Not only performance.
yeah, not
Showmanship type.
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't good on the showmanship, and that developed when I was in Japan because the girls kind of helped me with that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a bull going, "You got to be loud," ah, and I'm like, "Huh?" And she's like, "No," she's like, they were trying to help me be louder and more serious and put those moves on, so that helped a lot. But that's not something I learned before I went. So, and probably had I spent more time, I could have learned it, but I just went soon. I went early. As soon as somebody offered me, "Hey, you want to go?" I'm like, "Yes, please send me now." Oh, wait, what am I doing? So
That
I
was cool. Yeah.
I could have been more prepared, but I did learn a lot while I was there, and it was great.
Very good.
So, and Fumi helped me a lot too, because he helped me. He's like, "Hey, you should wear a singlet." I'm like, "Okay, I'll wear a singlet." He's like, "The Steiners are a good look." Okay, let's
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Stick with the Malenko boots. Okay, let's do that. So
yeah.
I took anything and everything as far as help with the character, help with the wrestling, help with the image. I just took it and ran with it. So thank you, Fumi, for that. because I didn't know what I was doing.
No, you had it.
I
You
just
had it.
jumped on the plane with a suitcase. That's all I did.
It ended up
God,
being a
was,
perfect fit. It really did, because of everything that was going on. That you talked about it earlier, for me, the list of so many stars. They were all very different. Everyone had their own style and flavor. And Deb, when you came in there, it grounded everybody, literally and figuratively. There was a need for somebody that didn't have giant spiky green hair and makeup, and you know what I mean. There was a lot of
Yeah, but that
wild.
was so cool.
It was cool, but
I was
there's got to be
jealous
balance,
because
right?
they're
Well,
cool,
hey, there's always time, right? You can always make
right?
a comeback with the,
The
mask
spiky
or
green hair. Yeah.
spiky green hair, or who knows. I'm sure your kids would love that.
Oh, they
Yeah.
would die. Yeah.
Yeah. And you are mother of three. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how do they understand? It's like, their mom used to, live in Japan and did wrestling and, just had another, different life, and
They,
they're not
I,
necessarily wrestling fans. So,
they're not huge wrestling fans. Like we'll watch it now,
yeah.
and the kids will ask me questions or be like, "Do you know them?" Or I'll name drop every once in a while, but not often. But my youngest son and I, like, he'll come out to the kitchen. He's like, "Hey, mom, come here. Let me try this hold." And he'll, grab me in a headlock or
Mom.
something. Yeah. So it's just something
It's
that's,
like, it's
yeah.
kind of like, like a Big in Japan rock and roll song, the song called Big in Japan. Yeah. Justin, you know the song, right?
Big in Japan. I know, like, there are a lot of bands that are big in Japan that
Yeah.
because
Oh,
it's
there's the
not as big
song called
anymore.
Big in Japan. Yeah.
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 Being big in Japan is it's a special thing, because there are only a few, like, bands and wrestlers and artists and musicians or whatever that for
Yeah. A
some
very
reason,
selected, very talented person.
like Cheap Trick in Japan, they're really, really big.
Or Mr.
Yeah.
Big or something.
Mr. Big, of course. I mean, they're big everywhere, but they're in Japan. There's sometimes foreign acts connect in a really deep way in Japan that they don't connect in the same way other places.
Yeah, that's kind of a strange phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you take something foreign to Japan and it gets big, and other countries are like, "Who is that?"
Yeah, but the Japanese fans don't forget.
No.
When I speak with, say, wrestling fan at the wrestling arena, and we mention name Debbie Malenko, they come up with what they remember, and they already still have all the pictures, and yeah, and then in social media, well, young people don't use Facebook, but the Facebook for older people, right? That's fine, but the I mean, Instagram and other things, but the Facebook, you find wrestling fans that keep everything, you know, and they still have all. Sometimes I send you like old photos of yours that
Right?
you don't even remember that existed,
Yeah.
and I still get it. Like when I say Debbie Malenko, actually I have a lot of photos of Debbie Malenko. It's like the picture they took in front of the All Japan, company building,
Yeah.
or on
That
your
isn't there
road.
anymore.
That's not there anymore. It's a big parking
Oh,
lot. Yeah. The
yeah.
parking lot we talked about. And also the picture you're holding somebody's dog, or the picture you're in the motorcycle. You never had motorcycle. And it's
No.
like, what was
But you
that?
know whose motorcycle that was?
Was it Daichi's?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. The
And
referee.
he's still refereeing, isn't he?
Referees, yeah. Daichi
For
Murakami.
Rossy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his
Yeah.
bike. I
That's
get it.
his bike.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
actually he took me for a ride on his bike once, and we got pulled over by the cops.
Yeah.
And it was just down the street from the dojo, and he's like, "Debbie, you go back, you go." So I had to get
Okay,
off
you
and
get
run
into
back
trouble.
to
You
the
get out of
dojo.
trouble. You
Yeah.
get into trouble. The deportation. I don't know.
Wild.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a lot of the people who used to work All Japan women. Some of them are not with us anymore, but some of them retired. But a lot of these, people like Punch, they are still in wrestling business today.
nice.
To this day. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it gets in your blood. I mean, what else are you gonna do, right? It's You know, it becomes part
So,
of you. And when you think, like
you
when
know
we went
so
on
much
the
about.
road, he was refereeing at night, driving the bus during the day.
Yeah.
You know, he drives us to the next town, gets out, sets up the ring, drives us to the hotel. You know,
Yeah.
after the
And
match, he
some nights
referees
he's
all
a
the
sound
shows.
guy too, to
Yeah,
get the music out. Yeah. Oh,
right.
of
So
course.
nobody had one job.
Right,
Mm.
That's for
right. That was Old Japan Woman. Yeah. Oh, it's very interesting. That it's like some people call it like a circus, but it was like a very just tight unit. Like this, cohesive unit of people. Yeah.
right. Well, it's like a carny act, a circus.
Of
You know,
course, of
you go
course.
to the next town, you set up, you do your show, you break it down, you go to the next town.
Another thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They don't do that anymore.
It's
That was
different,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. What the wrestling used to be, in the States too, was like that. But that
Yeah.
was, like I've been saying over and over, decades before cell phone, let alone internet or the moving image or streaming service,
Right.
and all that. Yeah, so, and social media, of course. But now that we're sitting here having this conversation, and this thanks to technology, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I want people to share this. That the story you are telling us tonight. That I hope today's wrestling fan would enjoy it. Yeah, and learn
Yeah, and we
from
got
it,
to get
of
some
course.
of those videos and the All Japan
Yeah,
shows from back then. If they could see what wrestling was like then, I think people would really enjoy it because it is completely different than anything that you'll find that's out there now. You know, as good as WWE and AEW and all these shows are, there was just something unique about All
well,
Japan at that time.
Rossi's new company would be good.
It will be good, but it
Yeah,
won't be quite the same.
yeah,
You know, I went over for Arceon. I went over
yeah.
for a match
Right,
when
right,
he
right.
had that company, and then Stardom, and they're good. His shows are wonderful, but it's not quite the same as it was in the All Japan era. It
No,
was just something
this new
special back
company,
then.
Marigold, Rossi is trying to bring back the old-fashioned wrestling. He said that.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be very interesting. It's gonna start soon,
yeah.
20th
So
of
if you
March.
talk to him, let him know that I
You,
would not mind being a part of that. Yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah.
all right. Then
I'll clean up after the shows, put the ring together, commentate, whatever. I just think
okay,
the world of him, and I just know he's going to put out some good shows. So being a part of it is never a bad thing.
right, right. Very
There are a lot of
interesting.
new
Very
wrestlers you could teach too. A lot of very new, very young, the actress girl roster that they just picked up, and
yeah.
it's. But like you were saying, Deb, like I know what you mean. The pace, the rhythm almost is different. The All Japan '90s style that you were doing, it was. I mean, maybe people would say it's a little dangerous now, but at the time, I mean, it it didn't feel like men's wrestling. It felt like it was like there's
It,
men's wrestling and there's women's wrestling, and they're both going at 100 miles per hour. But as a woman, there's a different way you can move your body than a man. You like shoulder,
there's a finesse
spine,
to it.
neck movement. Yeah, yeah. Or
Yeah.
seeing moves that you would constantly see, like the hair throw,
Uh-huh.
kaminage, that you would always see in Japanese women's wrestling. That you can't really, it's not a thing that you would see in men's wrestling. They're the little idiosyncrasies that made it so, like, it had its own flavor. It
But
had its
women
own,
are different. We're made
yeah,
different, and it's going to look different. It's going to feel different, and it should. It's its own
in the
unique
best ways.
experience. Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, and men's wrestling is great too. There's things they do that we women just aren't built to do, and that's great too. Let the guys have the guys stuff. We like our stuff, and
Yeah,
yeah, but you can appreciate
women's German
both.
suplex and male German suplex. Yeah,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Same German
Yeah,
suplex, but the arch is different. You know what I mean?
I think
yeah,
Yeah,
women also have a better ability to like more suppleness to bend with something like a back suplex, where some girls, they're just flexible, but it looks like they murdered. But it's because that
beautiful Northern Light suplex.
And because of how they can apply their body to it and make it look a certain way that guys can't, because of the how heavy certain bones and muscles are. It just looks different.
The pure muscle mass.
The arm is too big or something. Yeah.
And I think there are advantages going both ways. You could just, and like you said, that like if you have the fundamentals, then after that you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have a starting point.
Plan on having you back in Japan before too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to go.
Come back as a legend.
Come back as a spectator and just enjoy it.
She can still go. She
should have some role.
Right.
Yeah,
I want to see you lay some SmackDown.
Legend
these newbies.
Commissioner doing running or something.
No, you got to
All right,
show.
Well, make some phone calls for me and let me know.
Show them the old style. Show them the '90s style. Show them how hard it was. Show Julia.
Maybe I just need to
Tommy
come in
what's
like a monster ripper and just come in for a couple tours and just lay waste to the company and then come back home. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just also, that like I said, Japanese fans don't forget. Always remember. So that's a good thing.
It is.
Right, Justin?
Absolutely.
All right.
So
very
okay.
good.
Deb, if we wanted to search for you on the internet, on social media,
yes,
where can we find you?
Just Google Debbie Malenko.
Okay, Google Debbie Malenko.
You can find me. I'm on. Okay. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. For booking, it's book Debbie Malenko. I know, right? I've got an email. Yeah, so you can find me. I'm out there.
Okay. We'll spread the word. How about Fumi? Where can we find you?
At Twitter X at Fumihikodayo, FUMIHIKODAYO, Fumihikodayo on X Twitter, or just Fumi Saito on Facebook. Fumi Saito, no space 2001 on Instagram. Woo!
There he
more
is.
And more, yeah. On X, I'm at Justin M. Knipper, KNIPPER. All right. Take it away, Fumi. Until next time.
So long from Tokyo. It was a great time.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks. You guys. I had a lot of fun. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.